What is your most cringe-worthy moment from your teenage years? I put a poem in a cheerleader's locker in junior high that I had a huge crush on. Can't really remember how I got it in there or what it said, but I do remember I rhymed something about a cheater with you fajita. Everyone knew about that fucking poem. When I was 13, I thought somehow that my window blinds made me invisible. I decided if I turned them a certain way, I could see out, but nobody could see in. We lived in an apartment, and a family with some kids my age moved in next door. They were dorks, but they were the only other kids. One day the family was leaving to go somewhere, and I stood at my window with my blinds tilted to invisibility mode. I suddenly started doing this primal dance that involved vigorously flipping off the family and mooning them. I was really into it. I was throwing some hard middle fingers and ass at them. Look back out and see the whole family stopped, and they are staring at me, mom, dad, kids, all watching me dancing with my ass out and flipping them off. I can remember the shocked frozen horror on all of their faces. My knees buckled and I fell to the ground, where I hid until I heard them leave. Once I knew it was clear, I ran to their position to confirm my suspicions. They saw everything. TIDR, visually assaulted a perfectly nice family of apartment dwellers. Edit, my highest rated comment, and I was guided. Thank you. I may have to do a celebratory dance. I wore short shorts in 4th grade. Also, I'm a guy. See, there was this girl I had a huge crush on in school. She was brilliant and beautiful and just great. So, me being in 4th grade, I took my cues on how to impress girls from television. The problem was, for some reason I never took the cues from the men on TV. I took it from the women. So, I would wear these extremely tight-fitting shorts that kept on getting smaller and smaller as I continued to grow. I must have worn these shorts twice a week for 6 months, thinking this girl was really enjoying my tight butt. Then one day I was walking past the girl and her friends and I could feel their eyes on me. I felt cool and sexy and wanted, only for me to round the corner to hear them burst into laughter. I stopped and listened as they mocked my tight short shorts. And that's when I knew that short shorts weren't really going to win that girl's heart. But no regrets. I looked fabulous, Audrey. You? Hater. When I was in middle school I wrote a story and read it out loud to the class. It was an Edgar Allan Poe story and I killed all my classmates. Broken beer bottles, skinning, eating eyeballs, decapitation via train, ripping out a heart Indiana Jones style, bashing in with rocks. Pretty sure everyone thought I'd shoot up the school. One friend still jokes saying that he always knew he'd be safe, because he saved me from being beat up with lacrosse sticks. In freshman year I was talking to a girl, crush on at the time, friends to this day, and in the middle of her talking I sneezed, the snot shot out of my nose and right into her mouth. She ran out of the room screaming, "You, interesting day." My parents couldn't afford to get me and my 3 brothers name brand shoes, so we went to Payless. I found a pair of sneakers I really liked and the first day wearing them, middle school, mid-90s, some dick says, "Felonium, who you trying to kid? Everyone knows those are fake Charles Barkleys." I felt all down on myself that the next day I wore an old beat-up pair of white Nikes that my older brother had. They were about 3 sizes too big. They looked ridiculous. I was walking home after school that day and a classmate asked why I was wearing such big shoes and I explained how kids were making fun of me for my fake Barkleys. He said I shouldn't pay attention to what they said. Who cares? They are not your friends, don't worry about it. It really struck a chord with me and my self-esteem started going up the next day, remembering what he said. I'd moved to PA from the West Coast only a year before, so I was already self-conscious and didn't have many friends. Hell, I wasn't even really friends with him, but he helped me become a stronger person there in middle school, and it carried throughout high school as well. Thanks, GG Jason. You helped me more than you'll ever know. I'm an only child raised by a hard-working single mother. I'm also male. So there's a lot in life I had to learn on my own growing up. I had overheard my cool older cousin say he got pussy to another relative during a family party. That stuck with me even though I had no clue what it meant. So I'm in 4th grade and I was being picked on by a group 6th grader boys. I had enough and thought I had the perfect comeback to shut them up forever. So with complete confidence I yell, "Yeah. Well, at least I have a pussy and you don't." It kind of worked because they stopped their insults due to their uncontrollable laughter. I immediately knew having a pussy was not something to brag about. I didn't find out until years later what it meant. Still cringe. They still ask how my pussy is doing every time I run into one of them around town. At school, about 14, having an assembly, a giant one with about 500 students. We all had chairs. My chair is placed next to the aisle gap in the middle. We stand up when the headmaster, UK school, walks in. During this brief period of standing, the bastard behind me takes my chair and passes it behind him. That bastard does the same and soon my chair is at the very back of the hall. All 500 people sit down. I at least notice and don't fall on my ass, but I am left with a predicament. I was a massive unpopular bag of awkward and anxiety at school. I decided the best solution was to hover. Pretend I have a chair. This worked for about 5 minutes before I wobbled and the headmaster boomed, "Surname, where is your bloody chair?" I was terrified of speaking, so just pointed to the back of the hall. All the other kids were laughing and he made me go and get it. That was the longest walk ever. My toes curl just thinking of it. I was obsessed with trying to be manly when I was 13. One day at gym, a kid accidentally hit me in the face with a basketball, hard enough to knock me down. Well, the fall split the back of my head open, bone was fine, just the skin, and the basketball to the face implanted my braces inside of my front lip. So I stand up, blood leaking down the back of my shirt and out of my mouth, and tears streaming down my face. And I try to convince everyone staring at me that I'm fine, and no, I'm not crying. Then I tried to swagger out of the gym, panicked when the teacher tried to stop me, and ran out with the portly gym teacher chasing after me. Out of everything, the attempted swagger is what makes me cring. Edit. Oh, I remembered the most cringe-worthy thing I did. I wore an ungodly amount of Axe body spray. Easily my worst life choice I ever made. Let's see. I had a really bad pixie haircut that I could never style right, and I wore really heavy white eyeliner as eyeshadow with black liner on my lower lash line. I desperately wanted to be emo, and my parents wouldn't let me, so I used to wear normal clothes to school and change into my best friend's emo clothes and put on gobs of eyeliner when I got there. I wore stripper shoes to school in 9th grade. The plastic clear 7-inch heels. Then proceeded to fall down 3 stairs and break my nose. I had surgery for a cyst on my face and had to walk around with stitches in my head for 2 weeks. Normal enough, but people would ask about it and I would tell then I had my third eye removed. I wrote gay incestuous fan fiction about my chemical romance. Dating the guy I did in high school. The weird kid who tried to pierce his own lip at school with a safety pin. The guy who thought getting a blowjob on the bus from a 13-year-old was okay. The guy who thought that shoving his hands down a girl's pants in the school cafeteria was acceptable. The guy who told a girl, his ex who thought she was pregnant with his kid who tried to commit suicide, that she didn't try hard enough. Looking back at myself trying to convince my parents that he was a good guy. Now that is cringe-worthy. Shivers. Edit. A few people are asking if I was that 13-year-old on the bus. No, I was not. It was a girl that he knew. I don't think they were really friends, just a girl with low self-esteem. Finally, my time to shine. I was at Boy Scout camp. 13 years old. About 10 of us were standing in the shallow end of the pool. The adult instructor was standing at the edge and was attempting to show us a technique to lift someone in distress out of the pool by holding onto their wrists and bouncing them off the bottom to pull them out. He made me be a volunteer to demonstrate the technique to everyone else. So the instructor, while standing outside the pool, was to bounce me off the bottom to pull me out. When he pulled me up, the down force was so strong it pulled my bathing suit down. All the way, around my ankles. I don't think the instructor realized because he was just holding me in the air for about 5 to 10 seconds. So there I was, hanging me air, full frontal to everyone in the pool. Everybody died laughing. I was screaming and wriggling so hard to fall back into the pool, but I wasn't strong and couldn't break the instructor's grip. I think there may be a plaque up somewhere about the incident. TLDR, I was in the pool. I was in the pool. Oh my god. Even the memory of this physically pains me. So, love of my life when I was 13 is this amazing, funny, popular guy. I am queen of painfully awkward and oblivious. He starts talking to me at a party. Oh god. This is it. How we met. It's going to be our story. I'm already naming our future children, and trying desperately to keep up, so he thinks I'm cool. More people join us and he starts talking to another girl. Then straight up hitting on her. I was crushed. I needed to make him feel bad for betraying our love. I tried to cry, but lacked the ability to fake cry. So I tried to look as forlorn as possible, hoping someone would notice and ask what was wrong. No one did. Finally, in a grand effort to bring attention to my plight of heartbroken sadness, I decided to be so upset I would vomit. Which I couldn't do either. I ran to the bathroom and shoved my hand down my throat to try to get something started. All this accomplished was me salivating all over my shirt sleeve and my face and eyes turning red. I gave up and rejoined the party. No one witnessed the crazy, but I too always know. When I was 13, he had to do a presentation in front of the class, which included choosing a song and explaining why it could be related to your life. Most people picked songs that talked about a specific trait. I can't remember any particular ones, but basically it was like I'm a funny person, or I'm a happy person and the like. But no, not me. I was going through my emo stage, as I'm sure many of us did, and decided to find a way to portray myself in a way that talked about how upset I was with my life and the world. So I chose Behind Blue Eyes by The Who. So I get up to do the presentation, play a bit of the song and explain in front of the whole class and teacher about how my life sucks, and nobody likes me and basically, that I don't deserve to live. Then my teacher says, "Oh Tyler, we don't feel that way about you," and then I burst into tears still standing in front of the class. As if that's not bad enough, my teacher is worried about me, rightfully so, and she calls my parents and then I have to not only live it, but then explain what happened to my parents. I can't think about it without cringing. Late teenage years, 18 to be exact. Some friends and I had all agreed to rent out a house together, 3-story place, 6 bedrooms, so 1 each, and a large communal room downstairs, that we used as a garage for our motorbikes. Yep, all roughy-tufty bikers, long tatty hair, the beginnings of my now magnificent, and greying, beard. Hard as nails, us lot, was the image we were projecting. So, I'm hoovering up in my room. It's early-ish in the morning and I put the radio on. A few minutes in, the Pet Shop Boys Left to My Own Devices came on. Dunno why it affected me like so at the time, but I went through a full-on song and dance routine to this with the hoover, pirouetting, crouches, OTT vocals, the lot. A hairy bearded diva, right there with the vacuum cleaner. I never realized the door to my room was open, lost in the bewitching dream of camp pop stardom, as I was. I finished my housework, and only then noticed a couple of my housemates practically dying with laughter. They had been watching me for the entire performance. Nigh on 25 years later I still get the piss ripped out of me for that. Don't care. Pet Shop Boys are my not-so-secret guilty pleasure. Probably the time that my girlfriend threw a tantrum on a school trip in the middle of the Chicago Zoo. She threatened to run off into the city, we were not from Chicago, and get lost because no one in the group cares about her. Knowing just how prideful and impulsive she is, I hold her arm gently to keep her in place and look for a teacher to talk some sense into her, while she's yelling at me and some other student walks up asking what the hell I'm doing. Stop abusing her. So yeah, the time I had the cops called on me at the age of 15 in the middle of the Chicago Zoo for domestic abuse, and my ex-girlfriend got off scot-free. 2 weeks into freshman year I got wasted on straight gin and vodka. Proceeded to go to the football game, face planted directly in front of a cop, pulled a Billy Madison, and said leg while grabbing cop's leg. When they tried to detain me I yelled, "Don't rape me," over and over. Oh, and I was covered in vomit head to toe. Woke up to an MIP, and the nickname Puke Shield that lasted the course of high school. People wrote it in my senior yearbook. TL, DR got drunk at 14, puked everywhere, incessantly told cops not to rape me, got the nickname Puke Shield for the remaining 4 years of high school. My girlfriend at the time and I had had sex in my room, but for whatever reason I hadn't finished. I can't remember if we were in a hurry or got interrupted in some way, but when I took the condom off I just left it on the floor, and we left to take my GF home. When I got home, I was in the kitchen talking to my mum, when all of a sudden the dog came strutting into the kitchen with something in its mouth. As if it was purposely trying to get me in trouble, it walked up to my mum and dropped the used condom on the ground in front of her. She was not impressed at all. I thought she'd be pleased that we were practicing safe sex. Haha, funny to look back on now, but at the time it was the most cringe-worthy moment of my life. Summary: left used condom on bedroom floor. Dog picked it up and dropped it in front of my mum. FML. Freshman year at a new school, and I didn't know anyone. I was so excited, since in my last school I was a depressed loner that wore JNCOs, and hung out with his younger brothers and his friends. This was my chance to change my perception about me, so I changed into a jock, played basketball, and started dressing nice. A few weeks in I got invited to go to the movies with the popular kids. I was so excited. I sat in the middle of about 15 kids. About halfway through the movie I had to pee so damn bad, but I didn't want to make them get up so I could get by. Well, it got to the point where I thought I would piss myself, so I got up, made everyone get up, and I was freaking out. High school logic. Well, I made it into the bathroom, and couldn't hold it. I pissed myself. Most of it was on my underwear since I was starting to pull my pants down. I took the underwear off, threw them away, and then went and called my dad on a pay phone so he could pick me up. Luckily no one ever found out, but I had to make an excuse, something like I wasn't feeling well or something. My English professor assigned us to write an essay about someone in our life that we are close to and how much we appreciate them. I thought this might be a nice opportunity to write something about the girl I liked, but whom I hadn't had much of an opportunity to get to know a lot. My English professor ended up reading my essay to all the other periods, including our identities, as a bad example because saying hi every day doesn't make for the type of relationship she was expecting to read about. I cringe each time I think about how I used to hide my mother's prosthetic leg when I snuck out of the house. One time she came looking for me before I started hiding it, yelling for me in the streets, and it was like, totally embarrassing. Can't a 13-year-old, me, dry hump a 17-year-old on the elementary school slide in the middle of the night? Geez? This is from 13 years old. I always had trouble making friends. I'm doing fine now, but that isn't my point. I thought people would like me if I was edgy or whatever. This preceded emo by about 2 or 3 years, but I was doing it. I was taken to a family restaurant with a few girls and their parents, and we got our own table. I was going to impress the hell out of these bitches and make them my friend. How? By playing the penis game. For those who don't know, the penis game is where you yell penis at increasing volumes until you get caught. This wasn't well thought out on my part. The parents were at the next table over. Needless to say, they didn't become my friends. At 17, I was talking to the leader of the group, shy, book types, not really leader in the true sense, and she told me that the parents instructed these girls to be kind to me but avoid me from here on out. Cringing for the rest of my life. I was in college and single. Male. Bunch of cute female friends. We hung out all together between classes. One of the girls got a desert pizza. Basically Nutella hazelnut spread with small marshmallows and whatnot. As she was eating it she asked me if I wanted some. Hell yeah, looked delicious. She says have a bite and puts a piece in her mouth, with half of it sticking out. Motions me to take a bite out of her mouth, Lady and the Tramp style. I come in close, looking into her eyes. Our lips nearly touch, and I bite down. Got a piece of stubborn marshmallow, so I bite down harder. Her eyes go wide and she pulls away. Her mouth is full of blood. Turns out it wasn't marshmallow I was biting down on. It was the inside of her bottom lip. She had to get sticks. I still cringe when I think about it. When I was a freshman in high school, I was dark, broody, edgy, and a loner. In a word, a total twat. So for reasons that aren't readily apparent to me, I decided that in order to make my mark on the world, I was going to kill the devil. Let me let that sink in. I had a plan to go to hell, find the fallen angel Lucifer, and kill him. 4 reasons. Because I was a badass. Yeah. 1. Made all these plans, did ninja combat training in my backyard, drew schematics for gear and equipment that I would need, the whole 5 yards. Which would have been great, something that I could look back in as an adult and shake my head, but I made the mistake of telling people. My friends, that weren't really friends. Told my English teacher via a series of essays. Told the girl that I was maddeningly in love with at the time. Oh, you'd better believe that I told her. I only thank God that YouTube wasn't bigger then, or else I'm afraid that I may have actually uploaded videos of my idiocy. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos like this one.